Let's get him. Let's get her. We got three. Here we go. We got lines out. Let's make this happen. Let's make this happen.
Amazing work on their part.
The center part of the river, obviously the deeper part. I think they may have grabbed him. So let's see. Here comes the golf carts out with the studios that are down there below, coming to check out the scene, and it looks like they got a hold of him or her.
Wow.
Great work. Great work. Yep.
All right.
All right. We're all cheering here in the newsroom. Whoa.
The dog is leashed up now, and now they will be able to walk that dog to that point I've been speaking of, where the Tujunga Wash meets the Los Angeles River, and get it out of the water.
How many LA things could converge at one time? You've got basically a high-speed pursuit involving a dog. You've got breaking news coverage of rain, because whenever it rains, everybody freaks out. You've got a rescue that could be in a movie somewhere, and an actual movie studio with studio golf carts all in one shot. I mean, that is a very LA story that we just watched, and thankfully, like the good movies that are produced nearby, it has a happy ending.
And Rick, these guys train all year long to rescue people more often.
And where they do that, and I've seen it from up in Skyfox all my years in the north end of the San Fernando Valley, up along Interstate 5, where the 5 and the 210 meet. There is a wonderful facility there, and you'll see these guys in swift water, rapids, like just moving downstream, and they're trying to swim against it. They're in their gear, and they train for things like this to rescue people, and even in these situations, dogs. I've seen a few of them in my years. This is a rather dramatic one, and thankfully it has come to a happy ending. I'm sure there is a veterinary service out there, if the owner doesn't have one already, that is going to welcome in this dog to check he or she out to make sure that it gets any needed shots because of the toxicity of the water there. Perhaps, even though dogs can handle cold water much better than us humans, it may need some help on that end as well. But the bottom line, the dog now being walked out of the LA River, a successful rescue by our Los Angeles Fire Department Swiftwater team.
There still are a lot of questions, though, that we hope to answer as we report on this throughout the night. Our colleague Travis Rice is there on the ground trying to gather details. Question one is, who is this dog's owner? Was it that woman who needed rescuing? And what's her story? How did they end up in the river? Question two, who is the Good Samaritan that hopped into the river? Why did he do that? How is he doing tonight? And question three, who are these rescuers, and what was their process like in going through this as well? It appears, Christine, as they walk, that it was just the nick of time in terms of the rain coming down, that the river itself is not flowing more intensely as they're able to literally just walk. That may not be the case in a couple hours.
I'm just loving the demeanor of the dog. The dog had fought rescuers and struggled so hard in that water as it tried to find a way out and looking up at the wall and seeing the people above. And now the dog in some good hands there, the water getting deeper there. But they have a rope around the dog, and that dog seems to be like accepting that help there and grateful. There we go. Yay.
All right.
All right.
And we got a little bridge there, a ladder bridge to cross over. That's the Tujunga Wash that I mentioned that comes out of the east and central part of the San Fernando Valley and meets up with the Los Angeles River. So let's see how they get the dog across the wash there, because it does need to. All those the crew members need to get across there to get to safety. And you can see the one member there crawling across there, and the water in that,
comforting the dog there.
And with respect to the good-intentioned Good Samaritan who worked so hard to try to save this dog, you do see the difference when you have the professionals who have the right crew, have the right gear, the right training, and their success rate in doing this as compared to somebody just jumping into the water on their own.
And he almost lost his life. He could have, because you saw, I mean, he looked like a relatively strong, a larger man, and he was just struggling to hold on to that rope with dear life, because that was a part of the river that the stream was moving at a very quick pace. He couldn't handle the dog, and then he was being thrashed around and being pushed downstream. He finally got a hold of the line that they threw out there for him, but he had a hard time hanging on to it before they were able to get him to safety.
Yeah, that could have ended badly, so you hate to see that. Wonderful to see this here with the rescuers, but even with this amount of people, they still have got work to do to get that dog completely to safety. If it is the woman who was in the water with the dog, if that is her dog, I would love to see the reunion of that. That dog so much calmer but still a little bit of effort here to try to get the dog across that ladder
no,
there.
He's got like a little obstacle course to go through. Oh,
getting scared again. Oh.
Yikes. All right. So this portion, just so we're clear of where we're looking at, this is along Colfax Avenue. Colfax is a north-south street near the studios there along the LA River, and this is the Tujunga Wash. Colfax is on the east side of the Tujunga Wash, and that's where they're going to bring this dog officially to safety. But out of the water, the rescue crew members, the Swiftwater team there, successful. It took some time, but thankfully it appears that this has come to a successful end here. And again, the rain has not stopped, everybody. We're going to see more bands of precipitation move across Southern California for the next several hours into the early morning hours tomorrow. There's going to be more runoff. Let what you saw this afternoon be a lesson. Never try to be a hero. We say it with pursuits, Alex and Christine. Never try to box in a vehicle that you have no idea what you're dealing with, who's inside, the occupants of that car. They could be armed, they're agitated, they could put you in harm's way and other people and officers. And in this situation, you try to get into the water and be a hero because you're not thinking that the LAFD is going to be able to do it. You're putting yourselves in danger, your life in danger.
Looks like he just got bit.
Yeah, the dog has been biting quite a bit. We heard that from Margaret Stewart from the LAFD, that a couple of the rescuers who tried earlier were bit. The man who I'm speaking of who jumped in the water, and again, he was trying to do something very heroic, but he put himself into danger. And he had to force the LAFD to expend more of their resources in the water for yet another Swiftwater rescue.
Rick, are they trying to put a vest on him so they can lift the dog out?
Yeah, they're going to do something to hoist the dog, and they may use the helicopter. It's possible, and the dog's still biting. It's not happy right now.
They need a muzzle for the dog.
It's
they need
had a bad afternoon, but you could see that crew member there petting he or she, trying to calm it down.
Yeah.
And as I said, it's possible that the woman who's connected with this dog, we believe the owner, may have relayed information to the crew there, the name of the dog and what it likes or doesn't like, and just any type of information that might help this rescue team calm the animal down, calm the dog down, and get it to safety.
Well, it appears that where it is, you know, they need to lift it, and they're maybe trying to put a harness or something around it so that they can lift it up to higher ground and be able to get it into a car and get it presumably to a vet, right? The dog's not climbing up that, and putting that dog and carrying it like you're carrying a 6-pound Bichon Frise is not going to work.
Look, it's agitated. It's still biting, and what is maybe a 60-pound dog, perhaps,
or more.
Yeah,
that's a big, strong
shepherd mix
dog
of some sort. That's what we were initially hearing earlier.
Well, I don't know how you calm a dog like that. I'm sure a muzzle would keep the dog from being able to bite the workers there. I don't know if there's some kind of a calming medication or a sedative type thing that could kind of have the dog chill a bit. But everyone's on dry ground. That's what matters. Rick, is that area dry, like, for good?
This is the Tujunga Wash. Not necessarily, because we're looking at more runoff. We just had a band of light, occasionally moderate rain move over that portion of the San Fernando Valley out of Studio City towards the east end of the valley, towards Glendale and Burbank, right along the LA River there. This is the Tujunga Wash, though, just north of the LA River. This is the area, that confluence of the two waterways, that they felt that they could make that rescue, not using the helicopter, but the ground crews, and that's what we saw. We saw that success. We're seeing more bites. That dog is not happy there. But what we will see is likely a hoist of some sort, whether it be a ground hoist or a helicopter hoist to get it up that. That's a steep sided wash there. You could see the walls of that wash, and that ladder didn't even work across that small portion of the wash. The dog just couldn't have it. And now it looks like they're trying to, they're probably still trying to put some gear on the dog to create that hoist system, to create a safety net for it, because that's a process in itself.
Because as hard as they work to get that dog to safety, they don't want to lose the grip of the dog, and the dog goes back into the water, takes off running. So they really got to get this handled so that dog doesn't, go back to where he was.
Yeah, that's right. And we don't know. We're going to find out how this all started. I had mentioned earlier, Alex and Christine, that most times when we are experiencing or expecting a significant precipitation, a significant rain event here in Southern California, because of the large homeless encampments that line the river, or even on islands of the LA River. I've seen them from up in Skyfox for my years up there. They will do whatever they can to clear those individuals out. Say, hey, there's going to be a big rain event, even though the riverbed right now is completely dry. That's not going to be the case in 24, 48, 36 hours. You are going to see significant water moving through this area, deep water. You are going to endanger your life and your belongings here if you don't get out now, and they will do just that. Similar to what they do in the wildland fire areas. A lot of homeless encampments in those areas, those urban and wildland interfaces that are vulnerable to wildland fires. They'll try to clear those out as well. That Sepulveda fire that we saw just ravage the pass there and those neighborhoods along the 405 freeway may have been started. We believe one of them was started by a homeless encampment along the side of the 405 freeway. They will try to clear those areas the best they can in the fires and also in the floods.
So what we're looking at now on the right side of your screen, the big box, is the Skyfox picture of that rescue attempt down below. On the top of your screen, the small box is another live picture. This is the other angle. Our camera guy is right behind those guys. This is where they're trying to lift the dog to. Eventually, hopefully, the dog will be lifted up and right towards the camera guy, with safety, of course, in mind for our photographer, Olin Martinez, on the ground. But that is what we're looking at now, and sort of we'll know that this dog is safe and good once this dog is lifted and can be taken to a vet and be checked out and hopefully eventually reunited with its owner.
You know, in a situation like this, it begs the question, and I know you'd have to deploy a trained veterinarian to come out, but perhaps to ease the trauma of the dog, to bring down its anxiety and what it's been dealing with over the last hour or two, to set it, you know, to give it something to calm its nerves, just like we do. You know, some of us need that at times, and this is going to be a traumatic situation, even the lift here, and the dog is obviously very agitated, coming off of the experience that it just had here, and that's a situation that I know would be very challenging to do, especially with the environment there, to call a vet out, to get that vet down that ladder into the wash bed there, and to administer that type of medicine for the dog.
Well, they have their hands full in trying to get that dog up to higher ground there. It's so fascinating to watch this all play out, and how much we care about animals, you know, as that dog was struggling so hard in that water, and you see those rescuers there working so hard to make a difference. And I think kind of it speaks to everyone's heart and soul and emotion when you see an animal that is suffering. And you just hope that this kind of ends where they get that dog up there. I'm kind of not sure what they're doing down there.
Yeah,
probably trying to get that harness on and maybe create a muzzle with maybe rope.
It's a process.
Some way.
Especially,
so
it's a process. You're right, Christine, Alex, in that you're dealing with an animal that is incredibly agitated. If this was, when we watch those hoists, those helicopter rescues of, say, a hiker that's injured, the hiker is going to listen to the paramedics, listen to the firefighters, and be calm and let them do what they need to do to strap whatever they have to, the apparatus around them, so that they could safely execute that hoist. The dog doesn't want anything to think about it. All the dog knows is, now I'm uncomfortable again. All these guys are sitting on me. They're holding me down. They're wrapping stuff around me. And it's a process. Look at how many are down there, and they're doing just that. They're trying to keep the dog calm the best they can. They're being bit at, or you know, it looks like a scary situation with that big dog, a shepherd mix. That's what we heard. And they're doing whatever they can to make sure that that dog is going to be safely lifted up alongside that wash. And that's a high wall there to get it up to safety.
Especially if that dog is squiggling around and making all kind of motion. I don't know how you help get it up a ladder.
They're trying. Not to bring it up the ladder, but some movement maybe?
Yeah. You're thinking with the helicopter they hoist it? Like
no, I think they've got look like they have a harness around it, and they're going to pull it up like you would pull something up to the helicopter.
And
that's what all those people are there to do, and you see the rope there, because they're not, it'd be impossible to imagine taking that up that ladder.
And you can see that's perhaps a 8-10 foot high wall there. And I think that they are going to do it just from the side. We're not seeing the helicopter.
Yeah, you see this guy getting the rope ready.
Looks like they've made some progress there with those swiftwater rescue workers now on their feet. Guessing they had to do some kind of rope or some kind of muzzle around the dog and its mouth and get that harness on or vest.
And it looks like they're getting ready because the gentleman at the head there is starting to make some gestures to the individuals. Again, the upper left corner, that's on top. That's on top of the wall there, on top of the Tujunga Wash. And the larger picture that you see on the right side of your screen, that's what's happening in the wash itself. You can see at least one of the Swiftwater team members making their way up the ladder there, up towards the side. And you can see there is a line there. And all they're going to do is hook that line. It looks like a couple of them there to the harness on the dog and lift it up. And this is the process that we're seeing now. You're seeing this live here.
And
there it goes.
That cannot be light trying to lift that dog up. Wow.
What a sight there.
Wow. Maybe we can.
Do we cheer again?
We can take that picture.
Oh, that's the shot right there.
Wow.
See, they did a rope there. Yeah.
There was the muzzle there you talked about, Christine.
For safety, because the dog was biting. He was so scared.
Wow. What a shot from our photographer on the ground there. We really get to see that dog's face. And
look at that harness there. It goes around the legs, the back.
Yeah.
Oh, now camera's in his face.
You imagine this dog is going to eat well tonight and sleep well tonight
as
well.
Yeah, it's going to be well taken care of.